Yeah, that's an excellent point. After this breach, everybody is revamping their plans, looking and saying, hey, we got to put things in place immediately so this doesn't happen. We're not the next victim, the next target scandal and breach.
Okay, so it's going to start, you think, to sort of, because one of the complaints that I hear, John, a lot is that, you know, when it comes to security spending and IT spending, it tends to happen after the fact. It's very hard to spend a lot of money on something that's really not ever seen as a profit center, right? For you, it's just it's a drain because you're putting money in. Is that going to start to change as a result of Target?
Well, I think it has to. I mean, on the search side, you see a lot of searches for directors of IT and those type of level searches. And they always seem to come after the fact, don't they? After something happens, then they try to fix the infrastructure and get it right the first time. If they went out in front of the ball a little bit, I think it would definitely help. You know,
Bloomberg did a big security conference around this time last year, and one of the things that some of the people on the panels were communicating was that sometimes you're in situations where CTOs, Chief Technology Officers, are not necessarily the best communicators with the CEOs. So it's very hard. You know, they're tech guys, right? So they have sort of maybe a different way of talking, a different way of presenting. And one of the points that I heard was if you have CTOs that really can put this stuff down into basics, then that starts to make a difference because CEOs then get how important it is.
Yeah, that's a good point. They got to simplify and talk in normal languages that a CEO will get. If they talk techie, it'll never happen. And you start to see it now. Target said we're committed to spending $100 million on technology upgrades and cybersecurity protection and things. But it's kind of late in the game. We're talking 5 months ago that this breach happened, and they're finally getting it right and getting things in motion now.
Yeah, you know, Faye, you mentioned that the company's got a lot of other problems too.
Yeah, some of the other problems include a very weak, to say the least, start to their business in Canada, where they opened stores a year ago, well below plan. 5 quarters of negative traffic in the United States prior to the breach. Yeah. And
so this didn't help. I mean, this was sort of the nail in the coffin. Will a new CEO be able to reverse this trend?
I think consumers have had many years of good experience with Target. And in fact, there have been articles in recent weeks about how Target's handling of the crisis is akin to the Tylenol crisis, and they've done such a great job in communicating to consumers. I think that's an exaggeration. But I think there is a reservoir of goodwill towards Target, but they have a lot.
I don't know about that goodwill. So, you know, I did some research into this, and you go back to 2007. It actually happened before. Target had another breach back in 2007, and you know what? They didn't tell anyone until 2009. It took them 2 entire years. And part of that is the way the current law exists. You know, retailers aren't required to tell their customers that these things have in fact happened. But maybe that needs to change. I mean, where's the Consumer Protection Bureau, right, Scott?
Yeah, that makes sense. And look at this, too. It was catastrophic. Look at the timing of it. Going into November to December, the shopping spree where everybody's spending money couldn't have happened at a worse time. They were slow out of the gate to inform consumers all across the board. Now they're up to about 85% of their point-of-sale terminals are upgraded, getting ready for the next technology chip in.
Finally. I mean, you say that they were very slow to react. In fact, they were so slow that this was first reported by someone in the blogosphere, and then they had to go back and confirm it. But it's not like Target came out and said, hey, this happened. I mean, I think, you know, they were thinking about their corporate interests at the time, and they kind of wanted it to go away. If they could have, they would have. But in fact, you might run the risk of having a bigger problem by not communicating. I mean, we certainly saw this, right, with GM. 10 years sitting on some information that could have actually saved lives. Let's talk a little bit about the CEO position. We've got an interim CEO, John. So what's going to be happening now as they progress on this search?
It's going to be interesting. They're going to have to find somebody who's up for a challenge. That's going to be the biggest problem.
Well, they've already got someone in the security field. They've got someone who formerly worked in Homeland Security now coming in to take over. Right. What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is I met him years ago when he was at Home Depot. Presumably, he knows a lot more about all of this than the prior person in charge, who was quoted in a local trade publication in Minneapolis a few years ago saying that you didn't need to have a tech background in order to be a CIO.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah, ouch.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely.
So at least this guy has a tech background, worked at Homeland Security. Hopefully, is coming to the table with a little bit more.
Yeah. By the way, I believe he's 63, and I also believe believe that the retirement age at Target is 65. That is when the last CEO retired because of the retirement age. I don't know if
a mandatory retirement age.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So they're looking for someone younger than 63. How's this process going to go?
Well, I would look for them to go to the outside. I think that's probably the best way to go about it. Someone who maybe has handled some crisis experience. That's probably going to be the challenge.
All right. Well, this company certainly has a lot of challenges in front of it. Most importantly, really restoring consumer trust. And I think, if anything, it really highlights how important security is nowadays. Thank you so much to my whole panel, Faye, Scott, and John.